In the early morning hours of July 1st, 1957, in a small city in New Mexico, a recording session was underway for a relatively unknown singer and his band. The innovative sounds captured that morning would become one of the most enduring hit songs of the rock and roll era and go on to sell more than 5 million copies. I'm J.P. McDermott for West Coast Ramble, and this is the true tale of Buddy Holly's Peggy Sue. If you like what you hear, be sure to like and subscribe. As the sun was coming up that Monday morning, Buddy Holly and his band, the Crickets, had been recording at Norman Petty Studios in Clovis, New Mexico for nearly 3 days. It had been a productive session, with 3 songs completed. Listen to Me, I'm Gonna Love You Too, and Oh Boy. The band was feeling good. They enjoyed the relaxed recording environment provided by producer and sound engineer Norman Petty. Norman firmly believed that creativity does not come on a clock. Here in Clovis, the artist typically paid a flat fee for a finished master recording rather than paying by the hour. There was time to experiment and figure out arrangements, unlike the hurried sessions that Buddy had experienced in Nashville the year before. With 3 good cuts in the can, one of them, Oh Boy, a future top 20 hit, it would have been reasonable to get back in the car and head to Lubbock, 90 miles plus away, and start the work week. But Buddy wasn't ready to finish up. Though it was 5:30 a.m., he had one more song he wanted to try out, a sort of a calypso cha-cha number called Cindy Lou. They ran through the song a couple of times, Buddy singing it as only he could, stretching out the Lou in Cindy Lou for 6 or 7 syllables, but it just wasn't working as a cha-cha. Buddy suggested to his good friend and drummer J.I. Allison that he try a heavier beat. J.I. started playing some paradiddles, one of the rudiments of drumming, usually combined with other strokes. Buddy liked what he heard, and he asked J.I. to play the paradiddles on his snare drum straight through the whole song. Now, I'm no drummer, but I'm told by people who are that it's very difficult to play paradiddles in time for the length of an entire song. J.I. agreed to give it a shot, but only if Buddy would change the name of the song to Peggy Sue, after a girl from Lubbock High that J.I. had dated and wanted to get back together with. They had a deal. Now that the song had a new name and a new beat, the drums were too loud to be in the same room as the rest of the band. J.I. and his kit were moved out to the reception area of the studio. The song was getting there, but Norman Petty had a couple of great ideas that would help make Peggy Sue a hit. He decided to run the sound of the drums up into the new echo chamber above the garage next door. The large attic above the garage had been lined in ceramic tile by Buddy's father and older brother Larry, using leftovers from the Holly family tile business. These tiles, along with some ingenious engineering by Norman, created one of the finest echo chambers in the entire country. Norman decided to manipulate the amount of reverb on the drums by turning the volume up and down on the mics in the echo chamber during the recording while J.I. was playing, giving the drums a compelling rolling sound unique for a rock and roll record. Norman's next contribution was to suggest a change to the bridge section of the song, introducing an unusual chord that catches the ear. Peggy Sue is played in the key of A. Norman suggested using an F chord in the bridge, creating a sound that's unexpected in a rock and roll song, and it makes for an undeniable hook. I'll show you what I mean. A rock and roll song in the key of A will generally have these 3 chords, A, D, and E. If it's a love song, it might even have an extra chord, F sharp minor. This is what the bridge of Peggy Sue might have sounded like with these 4 chords when it was still called Cindy Lou. Cindy Lou, Cindy Lou, pretty, 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 pretty Cindy Lou. Now that's pretty, but let's swap out the standard F sharp minor for that magic F chord. Peggy Sue, Peggy Sue, pretty, 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 pretty Peggy Sue. Now you've got a hook. For the icing on the cake, Norman Petty decided to put a microphone up to Buddy's electric guitar to catch the acoustic sound of his picks scratching across the strings, giving one more cool rhythmic element to the recording. Not to be outdone by Norman and J.I., Buddy came up with a guitar sound as unique as the drumming. Buddy dialed the tone of the neck pickup on his Fender Stratocaster all the way down to create a dark, mysterious rhythm sound behind his singing. He left the tone on the bridge pickup turned up for a bright, jangly sound for the guitar solo. He would use the pickup selector, called a gear shifter by Buddy and his friends, to switch between the pickups to get the different sounds for the different parts of the song. There was still one problem left to solve, though. Buddy could not work the gear shifter without a slight but noticeable pause. The The Crickets' rhythm guitarist Nicky Sullivan was pressed into service, kneeling next to Buddy to work the gear shifter, switching into the lead guitar break, and then back to the rhythm when it was just the right time. While Nicky Sullivan didn't actually play any guitar on Peggy Sue, his contribution was invaluable. With this last piece in place, Peggy Sue was wrapped in just a couple of takes, and Buddy Holly had what is perhaps his most well-remembered song. With Buddy's unique vocal style, some innovative drumming and recording techniques, an unusual chord structure, the use of the wide range of sounds available on the Stratocaster, and Nicky Sullivan's gear shifting, Peggy Sue became a hit. And it was successful in more ways than one. J.I. Allison did impress that girl. He and Peggy Sue Guerin were married just about a year later, and even honeymooned with Buddy and his new wife in Acapulco. And that's the true tale of the recording of Peggy Sue. I'm J.P. McDermott for West Coast Ramble.